Welcome back to Everything All the Time. I'm Pat O'Brien along with
Court
I
McCallum.
allowed him to say his
I
own
like it
name
when
now.
you say it. It sounds
We're trying to
better.
have an intelligent conversation, and we are, about the situation in Orlando and what is more a national problem than it is an Orlando problem.
Yep.
It's not a gay problem. It's not a club problem. It might be a gun problem, and certainly a mental health problem. Joining us now live is our old friend Howard. He's not old. Howard Bragman, who runs 15minutes.com, a very fine PR firm that deals in culture and entertainment and talent. And Howard helps people in the LGBT community who are celebrities navigate their way into life, or their next life. Howard, how are you?
I'm good. Are they having another life? I try and keep them grounded in this life.
At least
I
I
want to
can
say
corrected.
one point of, I'm not sure it wasn't a gay problem. When I heard his father speak about the killer's father speak about his own homophobia and said God will judge.
Right.
It's called internalized homophobia, and I tell you what's really struck me the last couple days is all these elected officials in Florida who are against gay rights use the Bible thumping to make people who are gay feel lesser and will not take away assault weapons. I think these people have some blood on their hands. I don't think you can make people feel like less than whole and not have an effect. And this has just happened how it happened to play out. I mean, this guy was Shiite, this guy was Sunni. I'm not sure this guy was really the terrorist that he tried to pretend he was. I think he was a tormented, closeted gay guy, and I think that caused a lot of his pain.
Well, and it's amazing to discover. It's amazing to discover how close the Orlando LGBTQ community is, and eventually how close the entire nation of that community is, and then have those kinds of representatives that they put into office. I mean, I agree with you, Howard. I have been astounded at what's come out of the mouths of those politicians down there.
No, I think homophobia played a much bigger part, and I think we have to stop for a minute. In 2001, one guy tried to board a plane with a bomb in his shoe. Okay, right?
Yep.
And for the last 15 years, whenever you go through an airport, unless you're pre-TSA, you take your shoes off now. Well, we have a mass shooting of 4 people or more on average every day in America, and we choose to do nothing about it. Yeah. It's easier to get a gun than it is an assault weapon than it is Sudafed. Okay.
Yeah, you got to show ID for Sudafed. Yeah.
If we really don't want to deal with the problem, then we're not going to deal with the problem. It's the same thing as, I'll get on my lefty soapbox now, but it's the same thing as climate change. If you can't acknowledge that there's a problem there, you're not going to fix the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, also you look at this guy, and they keep talking about the terrorist this, the terrorist that, and you look at a guy who frequented this club for 2 or 3 years prior to this. This was not a guy that was not unknown to the club, and I mean, I think it goes back to a guy who just, was a closeted, was in the closet or had whatever his own demons about being homosexual, and took it out on these people. And I think that's one of the problems. And the other problem is the guns. I mean, England, you look at countries that don't have guns. They don't.
Australia did. Yeah. Australia had a mass shooting. They shut down the guns, and they haven't had a mass shooting since.
Yeah.
And we're just going to have to. If we don't have the will to change, we're going to have to accept that this is part of our culture.
And that's not acceptable.
Howard Bragman is our guest. He's a gay rights activist, and right now we all are. And have you noticed? I've noticed. I go back to Harvey Milk. By the way, I saw his nephew on there. Did you see him? I think his name is
Stuart.
Yeah, Stuart. Yeah, what a smart guy. Anyway, do you think this has solidified some sort of shift in attitudes towards the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender community?
Well, society had rounded the bend, if you will, and was essentially on our side for the most part, particularly demographically. You look at the people who are opposed to gay rights and marriage equality, and they're going to be dead in the next generation. So I think society has rounded the corner, but it gave people a chance, everything from sports teams in Orlando to regular people to politicians to stand up and be counted. And I hope they understand that these are their children, their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters who were murdered, and nieces and nephews and their friends and their coworkers. It's not them and us.
Right.
I mean, we're part of this. And what they also don't know, and Pat, you and I know, I mean, you know all the way from the Briggs Initiative in California, which was
Proposition 5.
Stop LGBT people from teaching. We're very good at organizing. You know, you don't mess with this community. When this community gets its act together, we're very powerful, we're smart, we know how to raise money, we have a lot of connections to politicians, we vote, we're activists, and hell yes, this is going to change people.
And example is the HIV virus, AIDS. I mean, the community...
Right, nobody came to help us. We had to help ourselves. We helped each other. And the community pulls together, and hopefully other people will join us this time. But never count this community out. This community is too strong and has endured too much. We've already endured one Holocaust in the AIDS virus. David Mixner, our mutual friend, wrote about how they burned a gay bar in New York and killed 20-some people decades ago.
Yeah, with kerosene.
We've seen the pain. We've felt the pain. We've gone through this, and I think we do it together. And if you saw the vigils literally all over the world, people were with us. And I hear certain politicians who should remain nameless talking about, stop the Muslims from coming in. This guy was born in New York, okay?
Yeah, Queens.
Let's get our facts right.
He was born in the same community that Trump was born in.
And oddly enough or sadly enough, it came, the day of the Gay Pride, the big Gay Pride Festival in Los Angeles, and and then they also found another guy. They found guns and found things on another guy who'd come from Indiana that was planning an attack on his own, and this was a white American-born guy. It's not a terrorist thing. It's a gun thing. This guy's driving. He's had problems. He's had criminal problems before and gun problems, and he still has guns.
There's a really smart guy that you may have heard of named Mitchell Gold. He has a furniture line, Mitchell Gold Furniture, with stores all over and online. And Mitchell started an organization called Faith in America. And anyone who's interested in learning how to make a difference can go to faithinamerica.org. And they can learn how you battle religious bigotry, because I don't consider the people who indoctrinated this young man, the shooter, a whole lot different than some of the evangelicals who are indoctrinating their children and their people.
Right.
I can tell you from my own experience, being gay is not something you choose. It's just how one's God made me. And, the same way that any heterosexual wakes up and kind of knows, and there's some people who are, on the continuum, but anybody wakes up and they kind of know what they are and what they feel and what their identity is. And we have to, people say, well, we're going to make America great again. It may have been great if you were a white man.
All right, well, that's code for moving backwards. Howard, we've got to go. But again, an intellectual look at this, and I know that people will look at the LGBTQ community a lot differently at the expense of those 49 people, so because it has come together and they've been very smart about it. Howard, thank you so much. I miss you. Court really misses you.
Yeah, Howard.
So we'll see you.
Thanks, guys. We'll come make a sandwich soon.
Yes, soon.
I love this guy, Howard Bragman.
It's Howard Bragman with some blue humor at the end.
Yeah, you got to end with some humor. You got to have humor.
When we come back, we're going to switch the whole thing.
Let's do it
and go out with a laugh. We'll be back in a minute.